Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers go to Colorado and beat them in a shootout by a score of 3-2. Igor Shesterkin was brilliant in this one. He wasn't the actual number one star. I'm not really sure why he wasn't, but he was the best player on either side. And it was a matchup between Shesterkin and Georgiev, and Shesterkin made 38 saves. Colorado was the better team. Colorado had shot the Rangers 4-25, but that's a heck of a win for the Rangers. I mean, sure, you got the second point in the shootout, and that's a bit of a crapshoot. But just the fact that the Rangers were able to stay in it, they were trailing going into the third. Colorado scored a late goal in the second, and Rangers scored a couple of goals in the third, had a 2-1 lead. Colorado tied it up, but the Rangers were able to get the 2 points. So they just keep on finding ways to win. Winning at Colorado is not easy. They ended Nathan MacKinnon's point streak. He had a 19-game point streak, and he had a 35-game game point streak. MacKinnon, that was season long. That was from the first game at home for Colorado. MacKinnon had a point until tonight. And, there was some talk about the Colorado's second goal that was credited to Devon Taves that, MacKinnon could have gotten assists on that goal, but I think the right call was made. It was an own goal off of Ryan Lindgren. Lindgren put it into his own net. So it becomes unassisted. So, Rangers were able to somehow, some way hold MacKinnon in check. Ryan Lindgren, and it's funny, I bring up Ryan Lindgren just kind of like that. Yes, he returned, which we've seen with him. Does he get hurt a lot? Yes. But he is able to definitely beat a lot of the timelines. He definitely came back way sooner than I think any of us would have predicted. So he ended up being out for less than 2 weeks, like a week and a half or so. So he's back in. And Scanlon comes out of the lineup, which is the obvious move. And so now, Eric Gustafsson was out again, and hopefully he'll be back sooner than later. And Jacob Trouba, he should be back soon. Now, I'm not looking forward to Trouba coming back, to be honest. It seems like it's pretty imminent. But, for now, Chad Ruedel and Zach Jones will remain in the lineup. In the case of Jones, he's done a really good job. And Ruedel as well. That's been a pretty solid pickup. And the defensemen there's been a lot of injuries, even in game. There were points in time where Chad Ruedel left the game briefly. Keandre Miller was gone. I'm not really sure what the reason behind that was, to be fair. It could have, I'm not sure if it was a physical issue, maybe an equipment thing. And Adam Fox left the game. He actually missed, probably the last, maybe not so much 5 minutes of regulation, maybe a little less than that, but also all of the 5 minutes of overtime too. But they ended up showing him. He was out there celebrating when the Rangers won the shootout, so he was fine. I think it was a puck to the face. So the Rangers defensemen specifically have really been going through it injury wise, but they're making it work. So Matt Rempe was the healthy scratch on the forward side. There's a lot of candidates to go around, as I've said, when it comes to these forwards. But Rempe, he's going to be a scratch. Not every game, but, here and there for sure. The last 2 seasons the Rangers and Avalanche have played against each other, 3 of those games have gone to the shootout, and 1 ended in overtime. So these have been good games versus Colorado. And Georgiev, to his credit, he's played very well in those games. He hasn't always come out on top. He's played pretty well in those Ranger games as well. You can tell there's Shesterkin versus Georgiev, I think, brings the best out of both of them for different reasons. But, Rangers just are really in a pretty good spot in the standings, but not to say that anything's set at all. The division is still close. The Rangers are 3 points out of Carolina with the game in hand. So, definitely have to leg up, but Carolina's playing some really good hockey. They're not going away. Where the Rangers really are making some, progress is when it comes to Rangers compared to the Panthers and the Bruins. The Rangers are 5 points ahead of the Panthers. And when it comes to the Bruins, it's the same thing as Carolina, 3 points ahead with a game in hand. So the Rangers' remaining 9 games are not all that difficult, but that can also get a little bit, you can never be too sure. Like, the Rangers have had, like, these very big games recently, like a lot of them, whether it be versus rival teams, which there will be a lot of rival teams coming up, but more so just teams in the top of the NHL, Eastern Conference or Western Conference. And so now, like, for example, the Rangers' next game's at Arizona. And what does that bring? The interesting storyline there will be, I think it's very likely Jonathan Quick will be in net, and so he will be going for that U.S. born goalie win record to surpass Ryan Miller. He tied Ryan Miller with his win against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which was a couple, he'll have gone like 2 weeks without playing. So I believe that was the case with Jonathan Quick. But, so that could give the team a little extra motivation knowing that that's on the line. But the Coyotes have actually not been playing so badly. So my point is, unquestionably, it's a pretty damn easy remaining 9 games. When you look at like the home-away ratio, the teams the Rangers are playing, but you can never be too sure. But Rangers Avalanche, in what was really one of the last big games of the season, I don't know like how some of these other games will feel. Like, for example, like maybe like I guess in some ways like with teams like the Flyers, the Red Wings, and the Islanders like kind of on the cusp of the playoffs, those could have some feel to it. But more as an observer, like the Rangers aren't really in that race, so it's a little bit different. Rangers at Colorado. Colorado was coming off of a loss at home to Montreal. So I didn't really have the highest expectations for this game. The Rangers are coming off of winning. They were on a 3-game winning streak. It's the funny thing, but the Rangers are on a 4-game winning streak, and yet only one of those wins was in regulation versus Boston. You had a shootout win versus Florida, overtime win versus Philadelphia, now a shootout win versus Colorado. So they're getting the points, but not. And I guess the one thing about that is if the Rangers are in a tiebreaker situation, depending on who it's against, they certainly might not win with the lack of regulation wins coming through. That could work against them, but you'll deal with that when it comes, if it comes, because the Rangers are really in a pretty good spot as we speak. So, first period, not a whole lot going on. Like, the game picked up offensively as we moved on, but 6 shots apiece in the first period. Igor and Georgiev not tested a whole lot. A couple penalties came that period. MacKinnon at 8:38 interferes with Ryan Lindgren, and Rangers don't score on that power play. Then at 17:12, Keandre Miller hooks Mikko Rantanen. So, no score at the end of 1. Second period, Jimmy Vesey interferes with Nathan MacKinnon at the 8-minute mark. And whether you want to say this is the right call or not, Vesey's struggled lately. He has not been great. And he's not alone. He is not alone. I'll just say it right now in terms of players I'm thinking about. Like, Chris Kreider, again. And Kreider does score in this game. He does score a power play goal. But, I'm just thinking about moments in the third period, moments in overtime where he's just not giving you consistent effort. And maybe something's up with him. Maybe there is an injury he's dealing with. Like, it's possible. I won't rule that out. But it's just game after game after game that he cannot clear a puck out of the zone. And a lot of it is just because he's not really putting his all into it. He's not winning the board battles, and he's losing his man. He's just watching aimlessly out there. It's pretty frustrating, despite the winning. Like, he's got to get his act together because he stands out as one. It's like, what are you doing out there? But, there's others as well that have not been great. A lot of line juggling happens, but Peter Laviolette and company make it work. And, when you have Artemi Panarin and, you have like what that line does, and you have other players step up here and there, you find ways to win. So the Rangers killed off that VZ penalty, and towards the end of the second, Colorado scores with 33 seconds left in the period. So Casey Middlestad scores his 17th goal of the season from Duhaime and Manson. Pretty nice play by Duhaime to set up Middlestad, who kind of gets positioning against Keandre Miller, then kind of comes in with room. Schneider kind of backed off and didn't maybe go for the poke check or go after him, and Middlestad scores past Shesterkin. So that could have been tough. But not for this Ranger team. Colorado has a 1-0 lead at the end of 2. Now, I think the stat was approximately, maybe I'm giving them too many wins, but something along the lines of Colorado was 27-1-3 at the end of 2 periods this year. Now, one of those 3 overtime losses was already to the Rangers. And now it happens again. So just the resilience of the Rangers has been really remarkable, where they'll be trailing in the 3rd period often and getting wins. Like I keep on saying, the Rangers don't really have the lead for a team that has the most points in all of the NHL. They trail quite often. Games are tied a lot. They're losing a lot. And it's amazing what they've done. But a great individual effort to tie the game up by Kaapo Kakko early in the 3rd. It's his 11th goal of the season unassisted. And that's what I was talking about. Players stepping up. Kakko did that. Kakko stepped up in this game to get a big goal. And even before the goal, just really doing a great job of being aggressive and kind of being able to handle the puck, not losing it. And we know that that's one of his strong suits, along the boards and behind the net. He can be a bit of a force. If he has things to work on, but we know what his bread and butter is. And he tried to set up Johnny Brodzinski unsuccessfully, but eventually the puck ends up back on the stick of Kakko, who just banks it off of Georgiev and in. So, pretty impressive effort and goal by Kakko to tie it up at 1. And then at 8:47, Zach Parise holds Artemi Panarin. Great work by Panarin to draw the penalty. Just giving that extra effort, going to the middle of the ice. Things that maybe we wouldn't have saw the last season or 2, where he'd stay more to the outside of the perimeter. He is going to the harder areas. Leads to a power play for the Rangers, and they score on that power play. It's Chris Kreider. His 34th goal of the season from Trocheck and Panarin. So Kreider has the most power play goals on the team, I believe, with 14 or so power play goals. And it's funny, he kind of fanned on it. It was a shot by Panarin that Trocheck deflected, and then Kreider easy. But even that, he didn't get good wood on, but, more than enough to score. Colorado weirdly challenged this. I think they were looking for a hand pass from Trocheck, but kind of a not so smart challenge. Unsuccessful, which gives the Rangers a power play. But on that power play, the Rangers don't score. And then not so much after that power play ends, like a little more than a minute later, Colorado ties it up at 12:47. It's a goal by Devon Toews, his 12th goal of the season. And what happens is he takes his shot. Rangers did a bad job of clearing the puck, and that's kind of the problem. Kreider was a part of that. But Toews takes a shot, and Lindgren tries to, I guess, put the puck under Igor, but in doing so, it ends up going past Igor. So I don't really know what Lindgren was thinking, but the goal goes to Toews, and Colorado ties it up at 2. But the Rangers are able to, hold it down. And there were a lot of injuries to the defensemen at the end of that 3rd period. Specifically Adam Fox, but also Keandre was out for a while. So, with the Rangers defense being what it is, and those 2 out, it's tough. But they held, I think about Chad Riedel. Really, really held his own. Really did. Overtime was interesting. Igor made some great saves. Igor's been so good in these overtimes this year. Really, really good. So definitely some good opportunities both ways, but we go to the shootout. Rangers shot first, and it was a pretty successful shootout for the Rangers. Panarin scores past Georgiev. Then Middlestad is stopped. Mika tried to do a fancy move, couldn't do it, was unsuccessful. Then Mikko Rantanen, not a great attempt by Rantanen, doesn't score. And then Vincent Trocheck. So Trocheck now has kind of assumed that 3rd shootout, but for a while it was Lafreniere. But now it's Trocheck. And Trocheck scores right there to win it, which was great to see because, if you leave the chance, I assume that final shooter probably would have been Nathan MacKinnon, just kind of a logical guess. But, Rangers win the game. Rangers win 3-2 in the shootout. They improve their record to 49-20-4. Crazy. Really, 102 points just through 73 games. there's a very, very high likelihood the Rangers could end up somewhere in that 110, really more than 110 actually, really in that 115 point range, which is something. But still a lot of season to go. Arizona just tonight broke that Nashville, I believe it was up to 18, it was like maybe 18 points game streak for the Nashville Predators, and Arizona ended that. So they're playing pretty well. And actually, Arizona's good at home. That's the thing to keep in mind as well. Like going there, it's not an easy place to win. Even with the strange arena that they have, it's more of an intimate, smaller venue, and it seems to work well for them. So we'll see. I would likely think that Jonathan Quick's in net. We'll see what reinforcements, if you want to call them that, come back on the defensive side. But yeah, another gritty, impressive effort for the Rangers to go to Mile High and beat a really good Colorado Avalanche team, especially one that's really good at home. Igor Shesterkin was locked in and fantastic. And Rangers were struggling on the third and get the 2 points. It's what they've done. They find ways to win, and hopefully that continues with 9 games to go. The Rangers beat the Colorado Avalanche in a shootout by a score of 3-2.